Tonight, the dangerous triple weather threat with fires, floods, and deadly heat affecting millions. The flash flood emergency here at home, fast-moving waters, trapping drivers and washing out roads. Wildfires exploding out west. Plus, overseas, a record-shattering heat wave in Europe, leaving dozens dead. Our reporters in London as brutal temperatures scorch the region. New video of a suspected teen shooter takedown after a deadly rampage at a library. The chilling details from police alleging he was plotting a Columbine-style attack. Just in, Congress breaking with President Trump. The rare rebuke from both parties over his Iran war powers. Now, how the president's firing back after Iran says it has not agreed to let nuclear inspectors in. Savannah's emotional response to new reporting on that second note after her mom went missing, and the new details about what was in that letter. Urgent air safety warning. The nation's airlines saying there are way more close calls in the skies than what's being reported. The new calls for action. Terrifying carjacking spree. An armed man, look at this, using this stolen car as a weapon, ramming at least 8 people and ripping out a gas pump. How he was stopped. Olympic skier Bodie Miller arrested on drug charges. What we're learning now. Soccer legend Cristiano Ronaldo scoring his way into World Cup history. And there's good news tonight. Scotland's Tartan Army taking over Miami. The iconic World Cup fan base boosting spirits, bringing the bagpipes to the beach. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
Good evening. I'm Hallie Jackson in for Tom. And as we come on the air tonight, tens of millions of people around the world are facing stunning and dangerous record-high temperatures, including here at home. Intense heat alerts affecting 30 million people coast to coast. Those temperatures intensifying wildfires racing through Utah right now, incinerating 10,000 acres. You see those helicopters. And look at the new flash floods late today in Oklahoma with those roads swamped by the rain. And with millions of American travelers vacationing in Europe, no escape from the sweltering heat. So hot, they had to shut down the Eiffel Tower in Paris, a city expected to smash records tomorrow by hitting 102 degrees. And as they try to keep cool there, more than 40 people are believed to have drowned in France's rivers and beaches. London's in the middle of its own historic heat wave. Madrid topped 100 degrees, and this deadly heat is not expected to break for days, with the brutal summer only just beginning. Our George Solis starts us off.
Tonight, heavy rains and dangerous flash flooding overwhelming parts of Oklahoma. Watch as cars try navigating the hazardous conditions on the roads.
Oh, my God.
The rain so intense, visibility is almost zero. Out west, firefighters urgently battling multiple raging wildfires. From Utah to Nevada. Down south, brutal soaring temperatures sweltering the region.
Very, very hot. It's getting worse as the day goes by.
In Miami, the heat is so intense, the city's World Cup FIFA Fan Fest was postponed temporarily.
How brutal was today's heat? Earlier today, it was incredibly bad.
Extreme heat also impacting millions across Europe, where air conditioning isn't widespread. Officials in France say at least 40 people, most of them young, have drowned while trying to escape the high temps since the start of the heat wave last week. The country has issued a red heat alert, the highest level possible. Local outlets reporting 2 children died there, likely due to the severe heat. The soaring temperatures impacting iconic landmarks. The Eiffel Tower closing early and the Louvre expected to adjust hours starting tomorrow. NBC News' Danielle Hamanjan is in London.
If and when the temperature hits 104, the iconic London Eye will close. Thousands are expected to flock to beaches, pools, and the River Thames, with authorities urging people not to underestimate the dangers of swimming in open water.
Today, this city and far beyond are experiencing the hottest day of the year with higher temperatures to come.
Back here at home in the U.S., Americans doing their best to survive the early summer scorcher.
George is joining us now from South Florida. And George, there is a big push to try to make sure people getting together for things related to the World Cup stay safe.
Yeah, that's right, Hallie. These fans among them here just telling of how serious people and the organizers are about keeping this event safe. But don't let the cloud cover fool you. These fans are going to be working overtime because those feels-like temperatures are still going to exceed triple digits into this week. Allie?
George Solis, thank you. To the deadly attack now inside a public library in Northern California, with an 18-year-old accused of killing 2 people and plotting what police call a Columbine-style massacre. Aaron McLaughlin has the dramatic moment he was taken into custody.
Tonight, new video shows a teenage suspect face down, being dragged and pinned by police minutes after authorities say a gunman fired 8 rounds inside this public library in Chico, California, killing 2 adults and wounding a young girl. Identified as 18-year-old Bradley Scott Sayer, authorities say he'd walked through the library prior to the attack before returning with a shotgun to attempt a Columbine-style massacre.
Is that the suspect was a fan for some time of social media involving Columbine-type shootings, the kind of school shootings, and had unfortunately made a deep dive into that social media community.
Shortly after the shooting Monday night, the city police chief described the desperate call for help.
We had an open 911 line that you could hear gunshots and people screaming.
Officials say within 4 minutes, police flooded the neighborhood and made the arrest.
As they made entry, the suspect fled out the back of the library where Chico police officers had already set a perimeter.
Social media posts show the suspect graduating from the local high school earlier this month, now expected to be charged with 2 counts of murder in the first degree. Authorities say they believe he was acting alone and have found no connection to the victims, identified tonight as 74-year-old Robert Johnson and 46-year-old Jacob Hull. Hull died protecting the injured child, who is yet to be named, according to her family. The suspect is scheduled for an initial court appearance on Thursday. His parents have not replied to a request for comment from NBC News, but have spoken with law enforcement. Aaron McLaughlin, NBC News.
President Trump tonight on a midterm campaign blitz in Pennsylvania, pointing to falling oil and gas prices from that preliminary peace deal with Iran. But here in Washington, he's also facing a new rare rebuke from lawmakers over the war. Garrett Hake explains.
President Trump tonight at the massive Pennsylvania plant that makes Mack trucks, touting the U.S. economy with himself in the driver's seat.
Oil is going to come charging down, and with oil comes everything else.
Pointing to falling oil and gas prices after the preliminary peace deal with Iran. Ship tracking data showing crossings through the Strait of Hormuz nearly tripling this week, but with traffic still below pre-war levels. And now a new flashpoint has emerged in the negotiations. The U.S. saying Iran has agreed to allow UN nuclear inspectors in, but the Iranian regime claims it made no new commitments. The president was asked about those denials today.
They're wrong. They know they're wrong. They told us inside, and we have it down 100% inspections. And if they were right, I'd cancel the meetings right now.
The president set to speak with Republican senators, largely skeptical of the initial deal, behind closed doors tomorrow.
I think we've got to give the president an opportunity to get his work done, while at the same time making clear that none of us trust the Iranians.
I think anybody that's been critical of it has to be educated, even if they're friends of mine, because we have Iran in a position that nobody's ever had. Everything's been wiped out.
But tonight, the Senate with a rare rebuke of the president's war effort in Iran, joining the House in voting to direct the president to end it or seek congressional approval. 4 Republicans joining nearly all Democrats to pass the symbolic resolution, which does not have the force of law.
Garrett is joining us now from the North Lawn. And Garrett, you are just getting in a new response from the White House to that Senate vote. What does it say?
Yeah, Hallie, a White House official tells NBC News that in their view, this vote has no significance. The resolution won't even go to the president's desk to be vetoed. And the Democrats have pushed this effort to end a war that the White House says is now already over. Hallie?
Garrett Hake, thank you. We turn now to the search for Nancy Guthrie and the new emotional plea from our friend and colleague Savannah about the new reporting on what may have happened to her 84-year-old mother. Here's Liz Kreutz.
Tonight, Savannah speaking out following new reporting about the contents of a second note sent to media outlets shortly after the abduction of her beloved mom, Nancy Guthrie.
This is unusual and unprecedented, to say the least, to be sitting here. But, you know, I don't have any comment on the story, and I'm not involved in our coverage. But I can't pretend I'm not here. And so since I am, I wanted to just take the opportunity to to ask people to beg people to come forward. Somebody knows something. And this is a news story today that is on your radar, but this is the life that my sister lives, that I live, that my brother lives, that our extended families live, that our children live every day. And we are in agony. And we cannot be at peace. So no matter how much I try to come out here every day and smile and find that joy, and I will, I promise I will. This is a moment to tell you that we need your help. We're begging for your help.
3 sources familiar with the matter say the note from Nancy's purported kidnapper indicated that Nancy had died. While it did not include an apology for taking her, the sources say it did express regret over her passing. Officials have not confirmed the validity of the note or an earlier alleged ransom note also sent to media outlets, but are investigating both as potentially credible. Today, Savannah renewing her plea for anyone who knows anything to come forward.
And so please, if you're watching,
yes,
no matter how small, the reward is there. You can tell us. It can be anonymous. Please do the right thing for us, for our family, for our children. And we love our mom, and we'll never stop looking for her. Never.
Liz is joining us now. And Liz, we are hearing from the president about this, too?
Yeah, Holly, that's right. President Trump, who, remember, deployed resources to Arizona in the days after the abduction, reiterated today how horrible this has been for Savannah and her family and said he hopes that they find Nancy. But unfortunately, Holly, there is still no suspect or person of interest now 142 days into the search. Holly.
So many people thinking about Savannah and her family tonight. Liz, thank you. Yeah. President Trump also tonight pledging to start repairs on the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool around the 4th of July, accusing vandals of damaging it during renovations. Gabe Gutierrez is on the National Mall tonight. And Gabe, they've beefed up security there?
Yes, Hallie, we've seen new security cameras, National Guard members, and police officers from across the country here. And tonight, they're also adding fencing around the pool, as President Trump is doubling down on his claims that vandalism's to blame for the reflecting pool's recent issues, including aggressive algae and peeling paint. He says that someone sliced the bottom of the pool with a knife, although his administration has not released any evidence of that. The president says 6 people have been arrested so far. The land market recently undergone a $14 million renovation that involved painting the bottom a darker shade of blue. Now today, the pool is looking a lot less green. The company responsible for the cleanup says the algae has been killed, but it's been settling at the bottom of the pool, where it's now being vacuumed up. Hallie?
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you. To a serious warning now from the nation's airlines, saying there are more close calls in the skies than are ever reported, raising concerns about why. Here's Tom Costello.
The most recent close call happened this weekend. Confusion as a Delta flight aborted its landing in Boston after a cockpit collision alert warned that an American jet was just 300 feet away on an intersecting runway.
Delta 2361 going around because of American. American 3161, where are you going? You cleared us for takeoff, 3161.
Today, a stunning revelation from the organization that represents the nation's airlines.
There are many more, thousands of more of near misses than are probably out there in the public and that, get the headlines. There are hundreds of them every single day.
But only a fraction make the news. The FAA says most reported incidents are not close calls and that runway incursion rates have decreased more than 10% since last year. In April, the FAA says 2 Southwest planes came within 500 feet of each other over Nashville.
Schedule your landing clearance, schedule your approach clearance.
And a close call between 2 regional jets at New York's JFK airport.
You're flying through the approach course runway 31 west, correct immediately. Wilco, Brickyard 4464.
And following horrific crashes in Washington, Louisville, and New York.
This has been a year when we've had many, many serious close calls.
The pilots union and NTSB want Congress to require all planes to have precise GPS-based air traffic receivers that show surrounding air traffic, something the American Airlines crew did not have in the fatal mid-air crash over Washington.
If we don't have a deadline, it will never happen.
While the Senate wants to set a deadline, the House has declined, concerned that it would create an excessive burden on airlines and aircraft owners. Hallie?
Tom Costello, thank you. When we return in just 60 seconds, new surveillance video of a man accused of a carjacking rampage, hitting 10 people during a violent attack. And the person falling dozens of feet after climbing out of an iconic Disneyland ride. Look at that. The new video just into us tonight. Plus, stars and strikes. Cristiano Ronaldo joins Messi and Mbappe to score 2 goals. His message to the haters. We're back with the dangerous armed carjacking in California. A suspect taking a car at knife point and then going on a hit-and-run spree. Ryan Chandler has the video just out tonight with a warning that some of it is disturbing.
New video tracking a violent spree of attacks on the streets of Southern California. Police say 45-year-old Juan Estrada stole this white sedan at knife point, then crashed at random into innocent bystanders, causing multiple hit-and-run collisions across Culver City last week. Watch the car careen toward a pedestrian in the middle of the road. This clip shows the car running over another person's legs. At this gas station, several people targeted. A motorcyclist thrown from his bike as the sedan collides into him, ripping off the gas pump. Another man dodging as the driver accelerates toward him from feet away. Culver City police releasing the new look at the chaos Monday.
The suspect displayed completely sporadic behavior, striking any victims that he was able to spot on the street, on foot, or on bikes.
The spree of destruction ending at this McDonald's. The suspect crashing into a car and then fleeing on foot past the drive-thru as police rammed the sedan. Culver City police arresting Estrada. He's now charged with 10 counts of attempted murder. The victims injured were between 15 and 70 years old. One is still in the hospital tonight with serious injuries. Ryan Chandler, NBC News.
We are back in a moment with the American skiing legend under arrest, what he's accused of doing. Plus, the blockbuster trade shaking up the NBA, how the Miami Heat landed one of the best in basketball. Next. Back now, Bodie Miller, one of the most decorated Olympic skiers in American history, is facing drug charges in Idaho. Court records show he was arrested earlier this month on 2 misdemeanors and has pleaded not guilty. Miller retired in 2017 after competing in 5 Olympics and winning 6 medals. To a blockbuster NBA trade, you heard about this one, the Miami Heat acquiring 2-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo in a trade with the Milwaukee Bucks. The 31-year-old superstar from Greece played for the Bucks for 13 years, winning a championship in 2021. And another day at the World Cup, another incredible piece of soccer history made. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the biggest sports stars on the planet, becoming the first player to score in 6 different World Cups. He got 2 in Portugal's 5-0 win over Uzbekistan, snapping his scoreless streak so far. And look at this. He makes sure you know. He says, "I'm back," with that finger point to the cameras. He's back. He never really went anywhere. When we come back, the Tartan Army takes on Miami, the iconic World Cup fan base boosting spirits and going viral along the way. Next. Finally tonight, the Tartan Army, Scotland's World Cup fans, they are on the move after going viral in Boston. Now traveling to other cities, spreading their good vibes and good luck for their favorite team. That's the sound of World Cup fever for fans of Scotland. The bagpipes,
No Scotland, no party.
The cheers, the glee, and now it's Miami's turn to welcome the Tartan Army, Scotland's famous soccer fan base.
Come on!
Known for rallying behind their team and winning over just about everyone they meet. In Miami, where the team's playing next, Tartans taking over already. From a Marlins baseball game, thousands packing the stands, to the streets of Little Havana. The fun so contagious that after the Tartan Army's whirlwind visit to Boston, the New England Patriots are now looking into playing a game in Scotland. And Sam Adams' parent company reporting it had to schedule an emergency delivery after the Scottish fans drained their Boston tap room. But maybe the most memorable stop came away from the crowds. At a Providence Children's Hospital, where they joined in a nightly tradition, shining lights from outside to say goodnight, raising thousands of dollars for the patients there.
We've came to Providence. They've put up a lot with us for the past week, and it's giving back to the community.
Proof that sometimes the best part of the competition is not always the trophy, although these fans would happily take that, too. It is fun to be a fan and a fan of the fans. That is Nightly News for this Tuesday. I'm Hallie Jackson in for Tom. From all of us at NBC, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.